Enchant on the right.
So I'm definitely excited to see this deck in action. So I talked with a few people about it a few rounds ago, and they showed it to me. I got really excited, so I really want to see how this deck plays out. What is that?
All right, that is a Shiso Death Storehouse. It has a skull on it. That is a legendary land out of Champions of Kamigawa. It can give a 20/20 fear.
Correct, which means that it can't be blocked by something like Mending Clay.
Absolutely. So we look at Cody's hand. Cody has a Cabal Therapy, Ponder, LED, Infernal Tutor, Jataxian Probe, and Preordain. So a lot of the tools he needs here. He does have the LED Infernal Tutor combo, and then a lot of cantrips.
And he also has that Jataxian Probe with Cabal Therapy. So if Jeff's hand happens to have, a bunch of, copies of cards, it could just be ripped apart. Now, it looks like Jeff does have a Pithing Needle in his hand, which he does have 4 copies in his main deck, which I think that's just actually dead here against Ad Nauseam, since it can't hit Lion's Eye Diamond or Lotus Petal because they are mana abilities.
Yeah, the card's actually, you're exactly right. The card's going to be pretty dead here.
Oh, they can't hit fetch lands.
Right, absolutely. So yeah, he can't hit fetch land. We see he takes the Lion's Eye Diamond out of Corey's hand.
Which I definitely think was the correct play. It had to either be LED or Infernal Tutor, and I think I like taking the LED.
All right, and we see now the speed of Jeffrey's deck. There's a Jataxian Probe here, and it is Expedition Map, Pithing Needle, Elvish Spirit Guide, and Dark Depths. So between those cards, it looks like Jeff can almost set up his combo on turn 3 unless Cody's able to take that map.
Yeah, which I think he's probably going to use his Cabal Therapy here to get rid of the map, just to give himself some protection. It also looks like he drew just another cantrip, so at this point, he's just looking for time.
Absolutely. So it's Cabal Therapy will be cast with perfect information. You're absolutely right. He's naming Expedition Map. That leaves Jeffrey with just Needles, a Spirit Guide, and half of his combo.
Now, the other neat thing is that even though we got rid of that Expedition Map, there are so many ways that Jeff can find the other piece of his combo. So we do have Crop Rotation into the north. We'll also find Dark Depths. He had Dark Depths in his hand, so he's looking for a Thespian Stage or a Hex Mage here. But the Sylvan Scrying will also find it.
All right, and we have a second away from the table. That's a rules question. My guess is it has to do with Pithing Needle. Jeffrey, for the turn, did draw a second copy of Pithing Needle.
Yeah, I imagine if he's asking if he can hit Lion's Eye Diamond with it.
Yeah, diamonds or petals. Unfortunately, he's not going to get the answer he wants for it. That second needle draw is not of much help here. He's kind of on a 2-card hand.
Well, after looking over Jeffrey's list here, I think that those Pithing Needles will easily become Leyline of Sanctity after this game.
Yeah, I would think he certainly has better options in his sideboard. Lion's Eye Diamond, as you see here on the left, its ability is that you discard your hand and it works as a Black Lotus. Because the part after the colon is just adding mana, that's why it is a mana ability. It's why you see some cards like Deathrite Shaman are actually not mana abilities because they have targeting involved.
Yep.
But in this case, Needle will not do anything.
Absolutely. Now, the other unique card in Jeff's deck, which isn't going to be very relevant in this matchup, is Not of This World.
Yeah.
So in Baltimore, I played Reanimator along with Todd, and Todd Anderson, he played Not of This World in his sideboard as a way to counter like a Swords to Plowshares on a Gristlebrand.
Yeah, certainly this is the first opener I've seen Not of This World deck lists for 2 weeks in a row. As you know,
just wondering what's happening.
Yeah,
like,
okay.
What world am I in where we're playing Not of This World? But it definitely is just a free spell that's going to save your giant creature from a Swords to Plowshares.
Yeah. In this situation, it's going to be for a Merit Lage. I believe in your deck it was for Gristlebrand.
Gristlebrand, yep.
All right,
Or Tidespout Tyrant.
Or Tidespout. All right, excellent. Or Tidespout Tyrant. So the Pithing Needle is on Polluted Delta. That's actually one of the only live names. Polluted Delta and Scalding Tarn, I believe, are the only cards that he actually can name that are in Cody's deck.
Yep.
And we'll see if he gets the other one.
Scalding Tarn.
It's a bit of a guessing game, isn't it, right? Because technically Cody could be playing, any of the blue fetch lands.
Yeah, Delta was definitely the correct first one. When you're playing against like Ad Nauseam like this, you know that they want to have basic Island and basic Swamp in their deck, so they're going to have Delta. But what the rest is going to be could be up in the air. It could be Misty Rainforest, it could be Flooded Strand, it could even be Badlands.
Well, he went for Flooded Strand. As we know, Cody's second fetch land is Scalding Tarn, so he swung and missed on the second needle.
And there's the Hex Mage, so he is an Urborg away from making the 20/20.
Yeah, and that's actually pretty big here. We saw there's a Duress in Cody's hand, but he actually doesn't have. He's short on mana sources, and he doesn't have a way to disrupt the combo once it's in play. He's going to have to win first.
Well, there's an LED and an Infernal Tutor.
Yeah, he has.
So he's a ritual away from being able to piece something together.
All right, Ponder finds a copy of Ad Nauseum.
He does have a Lotus Petal in his hand, so he will be able to play the LED, be able to Infernal Tutor, retain priority, and crack the LED. But without an actual ritual to accelerate his mana, there's not much that he can do with it.
Yeah, we see a bunch of disruption in his hand, and really he's just looking for his mana sources here, right? He has the pieces he needs.
Unfortunately, Duress cannot take Vampire Hexmage.
Nope. And that's actually, Jeffrey's deck looks like it's fairly resilient to that kind of discard when you look at it. You know, his combo pieces are lands, they're creatures. Duress, I'm not positive how good Duress is against him.
So it looks like Cody he does have a ritual in his hand, and he drew an Ad Nauseum for the turn.
All right, so he's slowly building up to that mana he needs to combo out here.
And there's another ritual.
Yeah, he's been unable to find another permanent mana source, but he does have an LED and a Lotus Petal and a couple rituals. And once he achieves critical mass with that rituals, it shouldn't matter that he's on one land.
I'm wondering if he's going to try and go for it this turn or wait one more turn. I can't imagine he feels very much pressure out of Jeffrey's deck. However, at any point, Jeffrey could draw like another Thoughtseize and just take something important out of Cody's hand.
Well, Cody's going to go ahead and go for it this turn. This is spell number 2. So spell number 2 was Lotus Petal, 3 is Dark Ritual, and the storm is underway. This ritual is going to make 3 black. Remember, Jeffrey's at 18, so the number here is 9. And Jeffrey's just is watching at this point, I believe. I don't think he has any way to interact during Cody's turn.
Unfortunately, he does not. I think he drew a Knot of this World for this turn, so I don't think there are any legal targets in play.
All right. Dark Ritual goes up to 5 black. That's spell number 4. LED is spell number 5. Spell number 6 is Infernal Tutor. So he's going to sack with that on the stack, so he will have 6 mana.
I imagine he's probably just getting red mana here so that he can find his Past in Flames and cast it back. So we see a second dice, I imagine is for red.
Yep, there are 6 spells this turn. He'll only need 3 more. So Past in Flames, Ritual, Infernal Tutor, Tendrils of Agony should be good enough.
Adds up to the perfect amount of mana, and actually, since Jeffrey's only at 18, he doesn't even have to.
Yeah, he
do the
doesn't
full
have
10.
to go for the full one.
Not even the full 10.
So cast Past in Flames, leaving up some black mana. Now he's going to Ritual a couple more times.
Okay, should be at 4, and then to 6.
Yeah, it looks like 4 up to 6,
and then Tutor for Tendrils.
Perfect Tutor for Tendrils. And that should take care of it.
Strained out.
You can see Jeffrey here just making him show it. He's going to go ahead and look at Past in Flames, make sure everything works properly. And that will do it. So game 1 goes to Ant in the hands of Cody Mcguire.
Which, honestly, looking at the deck list here, I'm not very surprised. Jeff does have just a lot of dead cards in his main deck. Cards like Pithing Needle, Not of This World are just doing absolutely nothing. Whereas Cody's deck is just very focused and very efficient at doing what it's trying to do.
All right, so let's go ahead and go to the sideboard then. There are some options for Jeff in the board. You said Leyline of Sanctity was the first card you jumped to.
Absolutely. These Storm decks are usually quite cold to Leyline postboard. Most of the times they have 1, maybe 2 answers for it, and their plan is to just hope that the games go long so they can draw into their answers to get rid of the Leyline. So I imagine Cody's has to assume that Jeff might have Leyline, since it's really a deck like this really can only use Leyline as protection against Tendrils.
Yeah. So Leyline, takes care of Tendrils, takes care of the targeted discard. It does force Cody then to find a Chain of Vapor or some way to get rid of the Leyline. He does have 2 Chain of Vapor in his board. On Cody's side, it's safe to say that he just has to generically board in cards like Chain of Vapor.
Yeah, when you're playing against another combo deck that you're not really familiar with, I think it's safe to think that they're going to have Leyline, and so I like always bringing in Chain of Vapor and Empty the Warrens against them, just so that you have an answer to a turn 0 Leyline.
Yeah, both of those are in his deck. One thing, both players have Abrupt Decay in their sideboard. The card not particularly live against either player, but I'm wondering whether you feel like either of them would still want to board it in. Certainly in Jeff's deck, he has some dead cards, I'd imagine.
Yeah, Jeff does have some dead cards, and I could honestly see Cody potentially bringing in his Abrupt Decays. So he did see cards like Thoughtseize and Pithing Needle out of Jeff's deck, but when you're playing against an unknown combo deck like this, you just kind of want to hedge as best as you can, so there could be a troublesome permanent that he wants to get rid of. So I could see Cody bringing it in. I don't think Jeffrey's going to. Like, it might hit LEDs if they happen to get stranded in play. But that's really about it. However, to be honest, Not of This World and Pith and Needle aren't really doing much anyways.
Yeah, so he may bring them in just for lack of something else to do with those slots.
I definitely would bring in the Bajuka Bog, though.
Yeah, Bajuka Bog, actually, that's a good point. The crop rotation into Bajuka Bog interaction should be pretty strong against an Ant player.
Absolutely. The other land is he does have a Tabernacle at Pendrevale on the sideboard. So recently that card has skyrocketed in popularity and in price because of such, with the Jund Depths deck winning an open and then just getting very popular. But when you're playing Leyline of Sanctity against Storm, you have to anticipate Empty the Warrens, and I really like bringing in Tabernacle as a way to punish somebody for going all in on Empty.
Sure, so that's kind of an insurance policy then against Empty the Warrens. That makes a lot of sense.
And you can find it with crop rotation.
It's excellent. Yeah, one of the things actually with Jeffrey's deck, he has a lot of ways to really utilize these one-of lands in his sideboard. He has free Expedition Map, 4 Sylvan Scrying, 4 crop rotation. That's a large number of ways to tutor up those individual slots.
Absolutely. So as far as for Cody's list, he does have Abrupt Decay, which we're not going to be seeing. I imagine it's just going to be Chain of Vapor and Empty the Warrens. I could possibly... I don't even think Surgical Extraction
I was just going to ask on that. Surgical Extraction, it's one of those really touchy sideboard cards. I feel like it's bordered in more often. It's bordered in a lot when you watch matches. I don't always know how I feel about that.
Yeah. I think that if Cody had some way to actually get a Dark Depths into Jeffrey's graveyard, then I would want the Surgical Extraction.
Sure.
But since he doesn't have a way to do that, it really isn't going to be doing much. I would much rather just have an extra Cabal Therapy than the Surgical Extraction.
All right, players getting ready for game 2. Jeffrey Blyden down to 6 cards right now. We'll see whether Cody is following suit.
So I imagine he is mulliganing aggressively to try and find a ley line.
Okay, so yeah, I guess in Jeffrey's situation, it's a ley line or a fast combo that you're going to need. I don't know if one's more important than the other. You know, how much discard would you be anticipating, I suppose? Like, you said he's mulliganing to white ley line, almost like he just needs to have one.
I feel like that's the case. Ad Nauseam Tendrils doesn't have any counter spells, so their only form of interaction with you is discard spells, and they have so few answers to a ley line. You know, if you mulligan even to 5 looking for a ley line with like a marginal to bad hand, you're gonna have time to draw into your combo, especially since it doesn't take much for him to actually make a 20/20.
Yeah, so we'll see what he's at on 6 here. Both of these decks seem like they are capable still of really fast starts. It's almost, when you look at your opening hand, they're going to have to be thinking about just, how fast, like what turn clock is this?
Oh, and there is the ley line.
With the ley line. All right, so we're going to just see how good it is here. Jeffrey with the turn 0 ley line of Sanctity. Start off on Expedition Map. Yeah, ley line, as you said, that turns off a large amount of Cody's deck. He has Cabal Therapy, Duress, and then Tendrils of Agony also, which needs to target.
Now, a very unique card in Cody's deck that we have seen in the past, but it's kind of died down.
You can't target his opponent with that. Not targeting with the Yeah, Jataxian Probecaster by Cody. And there's a little bit of a catch here. Yeah, the probe can't actually target Jeffrey.
So he does not have a legal target for it, since it only targets opponents.
It only targets the opponent's hand, so that's actually just dead in his hand.
100%. So that's another dead card in his deck that's
I thought it was
blanked
like a
by
target
ley line.
player's hand, so
Yeah.
okay.
Now, the unique card that Cody has in his deck is Limdol's Vault. So that card has kind of fallen off in popularity, but I really like having access to Limdol's Vault when we have these important cards in the sideboard that we need, like Chain of Vapor and Empty the Warrens.
So that actually turns out Cody can look at his own hand with Jataxian.
Oh, it is target player.
It is target player, so he's going to go ahead and shock himself to cycle the card, so.
Fair. I mean, when you're taking 20 in one hit, what's 18? Right?
Yeah, what's 18? So he'll start with Scalding Tarn, but he said looks to be he does have Empty the Warrens in his hand. So because of Leyline of Sanctity, it looks like we might just see a turn 1 make an army of goblins.
I mean, if he has a Dark Ritual here, that would be 1, 2, 3, like 8 to 10 goblins, depending on how many Lotus Petals he has.
So 8 goblins is definitely... So 10 goblins to me seems like it could be worth it. I don't think he's going to get to 20. But it's 8 goblins. Does he still go for 8 there?
He does have a Lion's Eye Diamond.
Okay, so he'll get to have 10 if he can make it up to that.
That red card actually looks like Past in Flames.
All right, so we'll see that So probe, that was spell number 1. Now spell number 2, it looks like he's going to ritual out. That's dark ritual. Yeah, he's
he has
coming
an ad
Storm.
nauseam. Oh, no.
And another Cabal ritual up to 4.
Okay, so he does have LED Infernal Tutor here, so he can go get them to the Warrens and make
All right.
like 16 goblins.
Turn for Lotus Petal. So this is right now already a Storm of 5 for the turn. Storm of 6 is Infernal Tutor. With it on the stack, he's going to go ahead and sack the LED. So this is all on turn 1 right now. But he can't, you're right, he can't target Jeffrey, right? So he's going to...
He has to empty the empty here.
Now, if he gets past in Flames, I was going to say, wondering if there's a way for him to just, like, continue to storm up, find a Chain of Vapor, and actually win this turn. But he's short on blue cantrips, would be my guess.
Yeah, well, no, he does have the Past in Flames in hand, so that is what's being discarded. The only problem is I don't think he'll be able to generate enough mana with flashing it back to be able to do anything. I think that's what he's counting to see if it's worth getting like a Cabal Ritual here.
Yeah. If he could get Chain of Vapor, he's going to get Cabal Ritual. All right, so Cabal Ritual will be cast. This one has Threshold, so it's going to go ahead and bump him all the way up to 5 black. And it looks like, I almost want to say he's either can go for 20 goblins here. Does he actually have enough mana to just attempt to win?
I don't think he has like a way to find, there's only one tutor, so he doesn't have a way to find Chain of Vapor and then find Tendrils, but he definitely will be able to generate enough mana and Storm to make 20 goblins. So right. Jeffrey just basically has to make a 20/20 or bust.
Right, so 20/20 or bust, and we said before, he does also, as you said, if he has the crop rotation, there is that Tabernacle.
Well, he doesn't even need the crop rotation. He can Expedition map.
Oh, goodness.
Go get Tabernacle and then just play it. And
Cody's going to play right into this, isn't he?
Oh, my goodness. Well, that is if Jeffrey sided it in.
Yeah, there's a 1 of in his board. Oh, that would be...
And this really just all banks on Jeffrey anticipating empty coming in to fight Leyline of Sanctity.
Yeah, Expedition Map Member can find, as you see it there on the left, the common from Zendikar. You can find any land. That would include Tabernacle. And Cody, going through the motion, he recast all his rituals, recast his Infernal Tutor. Still with, and he's going to go ahead and Tendrils. There's still a white Leyline. And
but he selected
he already
Tendrils.
Selected the Tendrils.
Oh, no.
And he's going to go, wow. He just forgot about the white Leyline, and that will... that will be game 2 to Jeffrey Blyden.
Now, I know that the Leyline was foil, so there might have been some glare that made him, not be able to see it, but it was in English.
Sometimes you get so excited about the turn 1 kill, you're just like, oh, I got this. Here
my goodness.
Here we go, Tendrils. Now, okay, to be fair, if he has the right players to go get empty, right? And we anticipate that Jeffrey's boarded in the Tabernacle. So if he has, Jeffrey gets it both ways.
Correct.
So Cody probably, probably a little on tilt from that. But I do still think that this is Jeffrey's game, provided he has the sideboard.
I definitely agree. And just having that turn 0 Leyline with the ability to get Tabernacle to shut off Empty the Warrens, I feel like while this was very much in Cody's favor game 1 with Ant, Jeffrey's meritocracy is very much favored post-board here.
So you say even on the draw, you'd prefer to be just because of the power of white Leyline in the matchup?
Yeah, I mean, Leyline is just so good.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it there, shutting down Jataxian Probe, shutting down Tendrils.
And we saw very similar even last round. BBD was able to win through a Leyline out of the sideboard of Sneak and Show in game 3 solely on the fact that his opponent just didn't understand a few card interactions. Like it literally takes that type of egregious error to win through a Leyline when you're on the side of ad nauseum.
So let's say we're in Cody's situation. All right, so if he finds Tendrils, he doesn't have to cast it. It's, casting your opponent's an illegal play. He could back up. Is there a way that if Cody keeps playing that game that he can still get it?
I don't think so. With that Expedition and map in play, at that point, Jeffrey is just drawing to almost 50% of his deck to make a 20/20. And Cody has just a Tendrils in his hand, and that's it.
Yeah, I suppose...
He even flashed back to
he's going to... Yes, he doesn't have Pass and Flames anymore. He's going to have to find a Chain of Vapor followed by a lot of spells and no Pass and Flames. That's gonna be a lot of work for him to get there.
Yep. Now, because Cody went and got that ad nauseum, or the Tendrils to try and kill his opponent with that there, like, obviously we know he didn't realize or forgot about the Leyline of Sanctity, but that makes me question whether or not he even boarded in the Empty the Warrens. because if he's not, fully aware of the impact of Leyline is in the matchup, then he wouldn't have just automatically got empty to actually cast it.
Fair enough. All right, so we are on to game 3 here. Jeffrey Blyden and Cody Mcguire. They are at 6-1, so in the this match possibly leading toward top 8. See, once again, Jeffrey's on the draw. Immediately ships.
Yep. No Leyline.
No Leyline. So is it really that binary with his keeps? Like, if there's a Leyline, keep it. If there's not, ship it?
If I was in this position, that's exactly how I would be playing.
So 0 lands Leyline. Keep? No mana sources.
I mean,
probably.
Probably.
Okay, all right.
Like, when I was playing Sneak and Show, there were a couple times where I kept 0 land Leyline against ad nauseum because it's that powerful.
All right. Well, I feel like Jeffrey may be on the same strategy. You can see that 7, he did not consider it very long. There was no white Leyline in it. The question for me is, would he keep 0 lands white Leyline? I
don't know. Maybe we get to find out. We got 6 coming.
All right. He's on the draw this game, so he's still, without that Leyline, he will be at the mercy of things like, that was a turn 1 kill that Cody had drawn in his hand, for example.
Absolutely.
And he's going to go ahead and keep.
There's
and there we
Leyline.
Go. And there's Cody. There it is. He goes ahead and
read
the card.
This time? Put it right in the middle. Hopefully we don't forget this time.
All right. Well, Cody's going to have work to do. So I have to assume Cody has a chain. If he didn't have the chain of vapors in before, they're in now. He has 2 in his board.
I was hoping he would look a little deeper so we could see if that Empty the Warrens is actually in the deck.
Sure. So yeah, his plan to beat white Leyline is either to make goblins or to bounce it.
Yep.
And if he can bounce it, Jeffrey's deck actually, I don't believe, is capable of recasting white Leyline at any point. So
it definitely is not. So previously, from the Sneak and Show deck, you can actually cast Show and Tell and put it into play if you really need to in a pinch.
Oh, man.
But Jeffrey's deck just actually cannot cast it.
All right, so turn 1 preordained. We're going to see Cody setting up here. One question is, how much do you feel a white Leyline slows down the Ant deck? Obviously, they probably can't get a turn 1 play, but as we saw there, Cody did have the ability to make 20 goblins on turn 1. So I felt like if Cody recognizes the interaction there, the white Leyline only slowed him down by about a turn. Is that, so I'm wondering how much of a roadblock is this? Jeffrey still, I feel like he needs to win the game quickly.
He definitely still has to try and win the game quickly. And actually, it looks like Jeffrey has Karakas and Sajiri Step in his deck, so technically he can cast white Leyline if he really needs to. And Pithy Needle is still in the deck.
Yeah, he's going to go with naming one of the fetch lands. We'll see which one it is here.
So I imagine...
Well, as I said before, he doesn't have great options. We said... We wanted to put out the Not of This World and the Pithing Needle.
That's true. And we've got 4 Leyline, a Tabernacle, and a Bajuka Bug that you want to bring in. So it could be possible that he has 2 Pithing Needles still in his deck.
Sure. So the turn 1 Needle names Polluted Delta. And they'll pass back to Cody. He's just going to go ahead and continue sculpting his hand. And he plays Scalding Tarn. Gets around the Pithing Needle.
50-50 shot.
As before, I actually don't know if Jeffrey knows what fetch land he has. Remember, last game 1 he named Flooded Strand, and I don't think we ever saw a Scalding Tarn cracked game 2. So
yeah, we did not see a Scalding Tarn.
So, it's still that stab. Well, it's going to be one of the blue fetch lands.
But it looks like we do have, there's an Infernal Tutor and an LED in Cody's hand. And now I saw a blue card that looked like it possibly could have been Chain of Vapor.
Oh, man, it is a preordained.
It is a preordained?
Yeah,
okay, so it is not Chain of Vapor.
He does have his copy of Limduel's Vault, however, in his hand. So if he needs to find that Chain of Vapor, he's got a way to do it.
Which could easily find it. Now, Limduel's Vault is actually a very unique card with the way that it resolves. So when you look at the 5 and then you put them on the bottom, look at the top 5, put them on the bottom, and then when you find a 5 that you like, you actually set them aside and shuffle the remainder of the deck, and then put those 5 back on top. So a lot of times people will either forget to shuffle or they'll only shuffle the cards that they looked at, but you actually have to shuffle all but the 5 you're keeping and then put those 5 back on top.
All right, so turn 2 for Jeffrey is the Dark Depths. It's half his combo. And a pair of LEDs for Cody. He can, a pair of LEDs and an Infernal Tutor with Lotus Petal. Cody could certainly empty the Warrens here for a lot.
He definitely could.
Now, the one question I guess is he expecting
Tabernacle?
I mean, if he's expecting Tabernacle, can he even board in empty the Warrens here? It seems like such a liability against a deck that has, we saw 11 ways to find any land?
That is definitely a very valid point, but I still feel like he has to he still has to have it in just on the off chance that the Jeffrey didn't bring his Tabernacle in.
All right, he's going to lead the turn on a preordain, plays Lotus Petal, and passes back.
So I imagine we might see a Limdol's Vault here and step.
Yeah, the Petal certainly suggests it. And Shiso.
There's the Urborg.
No, you're right. Absolutely right. It's Urborg. So that's a source of 2 mana for Jeffrey. Now his Dark Depths can tap. And now we will see Limdol's Vault. Cody presumably setting up for Chain of Vapor and a win.
It's actually really the Urborg is very interesting. Even though that Pithy Needle is on polluted Delta, it now taps for black mana.
You're absolutely right.
There's the Chain of Vapor. So I imagine we're keeping these 5.
Yeah, so this way he'll be... Limdol's Vault is an interesting card. It actually is... It's a 2. It's kind of a vampiric tutor for 2 if you just need 1 card. Might cost you a fair amount of life here. It looks like it only costs Cody 1.
Now, I used to play a lot of Vintage in the past. And going back to my days when I was playing Dragon Combo, Limdol's Vault was a very good card in that deck, since most of the time you really just needed to find either a Bazaar or a reanimation spell. And Limdol's Vault, being able to go through the entire deck is very, very good.
All right, he's kept that Chain of Vapor on top. So if he has the combo here, and it really looks like he does with 2 LEDs and an Infernal Tutor.
Now, is he done using the Limdol's Vault?
Yeah, I think we're now talking about the interaction of it.
Yeah. If that's the case, then he'll arrange the top 5 and then has to shuffle the remainder. Okay, so they're explaining.
Absolutely.
I guess a lot of people don't realize you got to shuffle the rest of the deck.
Those Ice Age cards can have interesting resolutions.
Yeah, you don't get to stack your deck.
You stack, yeah. You're stacking the top 5 cards.
Yep. Sage Alice never looked so good.
So you cut there, and now he gets to restack the top 5. He stacked it, so he's going to draw Brainstorm for the turn. The next card is Chain of Vapor.
Yes, I imagine he's drawing into like Chain of Vapor and a land. And I could see him actually just taking another turn here to make sure that he can set everything up perfectly.
Chain of Vapor, Gemstone Mine, and Ponder are drawn off the Brainstorm. And you're right. The thing about the Merit Lage deck is, for the most part, it gives you notice when it's about to kill you. It tells you a turn ahead of time. Now, Jeffrey's deck has some ways to sneak that into play. He could end step Crop Rotation and put in a Thespian Stage, and then Elvish Spirit Guide to make it. He also is playing one of Rite of Consumption in his deck, so he can make a 20/20 and kill immediately. So there are some ways I feel like he can sneak that 20 damage. But for the most part, Cody kind of gets to know when he needs to combo.
So we're brainstorming here. And I imagine we're just going to see a Gemstone Mine pass.
As I said, Gemstone Mine down with 3 counters on it. His remaining hand is Infernal Tutor, 2 LEDs, and that Chain of Vapor, and do 1 more turn from Jeffrey.
And a Cabal Ritual, and he actually has a Lotus Petal that he put it back on top of his deck. So he has a lot of mana.
Right. And we see an end turn melting 1 counter off Dark Depths from Jeffrey Blyden.
Cody, you got 9 turns. You got to put something together.
All right, Sylvan Scrying. This is the combo that Jeffrey's going for. However, it's probably going to be a turn too slow here. He gets Thespian Stage. That's the other half of his combo. And Jeffrey, it looks like, unless he has Rite of Consumption, he's still 2 turns away from killing with Merit Lage.
Yeah. Although, because that Dark Depths is able to make mana here, if he does have an Elvish Spirit Guide or a Lotus Petal, he would be able to do it on Cody's end step if Cody doesn't actually kill him this turn.
Right. That's very true. So yeah, he's going to go ahead and make Thespian Stage here. And you're right, he could end step this 20/20, depending on if he has any fast mana. He does
There's
have
a Lotus Petal, but he didn't play it.
He didn't play it. Yeah, that is surprising. So he's going to end step Chain of Vapor, the ley line. And that is dangerous for Jeffrey.
Yeah, this is not going to be good for Jeffrey Blyden.
All right, well, Leyline off the battlefield. Now he can be targeted.
Looks like he has a bunch of Xantid Swarms. No.
Xantid Swarm?
No.
No, that's not his. So with the green card, it would probably have to be Crop Rotation or Elvish Spirit Guide.
Okay. Imagine this Crop Rotation. It really looked like Xantid Swarm.
Yeah, well, if they're Elvish Spirit Guides, that would explain why he wouldn't play the Lotus Petal.
So just to try and hide it?
To hide the fact that he's about to untap and win. And here we see Cody untapping, and he is going to work. It is a Lotus Petal, 2 Lion's Eye Diamonds. That is a Storm of 3.
Now hopefully we see both of the diamonds get used here.
Yep, Infernal Tutor, both diamonds are cracked. That is a 4th spell.
Looks like we've got 3 red, so I imagine we're just going to get Passion Flames here, and
Yeah, it's a pretty standard line. He should have enough cards in his graveyard to storm all the way up to 10. To be fair, he hasn't cast too many rituals.
so we have 1 ritual, 3 artifact spells.
All right, so 4 spells cast so far. Storm is at 4. Passing Flames will make it 5. Now, one of the dangers is that if in order to get up to Storm, he has to cast his blue cantrips, then there's the possibility that his hand is not empty when he resolves Infernal Tutor.
That's true. Maybe you just cast the Infernal Tutor now so that you...
Right. And
So that you
he's
have
going to
it.
do exactly that. So, cast Infernal Tutor. Puts him down to 7 mana. So Passing Flames was spell number 5. So Infernal Tutor is spell number 7.
And we do see an Abrupt Decay from Cody in his deck that he had cited.
So to storm a little bit higher, he's going to go ahead and have Infernal Tutor for Infernal Tutor, just to create more storm at the cost of 2 mana. And that's going to get Tendrils, and that is Tendrils for 10. Being sent upstairs should be enough there.
For the full
That'll
20.
be it. Cody Mcguire, 2-1, defeats Jeffrey Blyden. He moves to 7-1 and is inches away from our top 8.
So that's definitely, like I said earlier, with how powerful Limdo's Vault can be with finding those cards out of your sideboard when you have something specific like Chain of Vapor that you have to find. You just Limdo's Vault, pay a couple life, and get it.
Well, it really felt like he was just casting a 2-mana Vampiric Tutor at that point. We know, hey, there is a Chain of Vapor in his deck, and thanks to Limdo's Vault, it's going to be the next card he's going to draw.
Yep.